Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, the first Pokemon games on the Nintendo Switch, and dang, that feels like such a long time ago. And while you probably haven't thought of these since their release, what if I told you that they actually had the sauce? That is, I was looking back at some of the official art of Kanto characters, and I feel like they really could have used some updates. That's when I remember that we did get some in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and after a thorough look, these are actually some really good redesigns. So let's Pokemon go to the polls and start things off with Red, the protagonist of the original Kanto games, though he isn't one of the playable characters this time around. Instead, he's one of the supporting characters, and I'm gonna be honest, I actually like this design a lot better. Now, I know he looks a lot shorter, but that's just how everybody looks in these games, because they went with more of a cheapified style. Anyway, what I really like about the Let's Go look above the Fire Red and Leaf Green one is that it serves more as an update to the original. He has a more square hat, the darker hair. These are elements that may come back in other official art pieces, but Let's Go was the first video game to bring them back into the spotlight. So I'm very happy to have the original look back because I think it works much better in modern times. The only thing is that the official key image for Let's Go has him facing away from the viewpoint, so it's a little hard to appreciate it here, but I feel like that's meant as a way to signify how he's ahead of you, as you would be in the role of a new protagonist. It pairs really well with the image of Blue for this game, who's also meant to be more experienced. Seeing them like this, they're already on their way, looking back and waiting for you to catch up. Compared to his Generation 3 art, he looks a bit more friendly, but also interesting that his shirt and pants have switched colors. Again, calling back more so to the original design from Generation 1. His bag is slung across his back instead of that fanny pack that they gave him, though I'm not as big of a fan of this look for him, but it's good in this context. Professor Oak is one of the other residents of Pallet Town, and he's also decided to switch the color of his shirt and pants. Seems like a pretty common trend. He's also exchanged the stack of book for an iPad instead. I wonder if he's using it to play Pokemon Go. Feels a little sad to see they decided to get rid of his physical media, but it makes total sense here. It kinda works to make him appear a little more tech savvy because he did create the Pokédex after all. Also, his coat now has a breast pocket where he keeps some pens, a little more accessible I suppose. Moving on to gym leaders, Brock has an outfit more reminiscent of what he wore in Fire Red and Leaf Green, though some of the color blocking is a little different. He still keeps orange and green, which started after the first remakes, a way to bring in some inspiration from his anime design. He's also gone back to his tough guy look, bearing a more stern expression and having his fist out toward the viewer. Misty is actually very different, because instead of wearing a swimsuit all the time, she's been given some actual going out clothes. But if you're wondering, apparently she wears the red swimsuit underneath. The colors of her shirt remind me of her look in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, though the overall outfit is meant to replicate what she wore in the anime. It really does still fit the tomboyish mermaid motif, and I'm honestly glad that this is her new default appearance, as it was brought into Pokemon Masters. Her standard pose is a bit unconventional, being more battle ready, but it matches her personality. Lieutenant Surge honestly hasn't changed a whole lot. Across various games, the patches on his arms will have different designs, this one looking more like Pikachu's lightning bolt tail. He also carries Pokeballs on his belt, bringing that back from Pokemon Yellow, though he really does just always wear the same thing unless it's the Heart Gold and Soul Silver era with the more relaxed look. Erika has quite a few little changes. Her top is green now instead of yellow, doesn't have the long hanging sleeves, and loses the Pokeball designs. Her dress part is still the same color, but it has this yellowish tint at the bottom. I'm not sure if that's pollen that's gotten on her from being in the gardens or if it's colored that way to give it that sort of appearance. Her pose is also turned to the side, allowing us to see the bow on the back, which gives her outfit more patterns and also looks like flower petals. Having them both side by side, I really like the old look better. Out of what we discussed so far, this one is so different and good in its own way, but feels like a step down. Koga is also someone who wore just about the same thing in all iterations, so I'm glad that they presented him in a different light, giving him a running action pose and having his red scarf actually cover his face. But also, this is the only red that he has on him now, getting rid of a trim that he used to have, and that I appreciate. It kinda makes him resemble Golbat with mostly purple and this big red tongue. In the concept art, I also love how Janine gets a little shout out. Sabrina also wears basically the same outfit, but replaces the yellow trim and boots for teal instead. I prefer this, it also matches the psychic energy around her hands. Oh yeah, and also she doesn't wear gloves anymore. The concept art breaks down her outfit better, showing that it was actually a corset worn over a dress, which I think comes through a lot better this time around. She also wears golden rings on each of her middle fingers, and also there's a little gold pieces all around her outfit. The rings at the very least probably tie into her psychic abilities. I know having her hair seeming to float around is a little goofy, but it helps in making her look almost inhuman. Blaine seems a lot more composed this time around, and I don't really read it as him not being as eccentric, but more so that he's holding it together before bursting out in some riddle. His shirt and pants aren't an exact color swap, but they're pretty close, now being blue on top and beige on bottom. I guess he got the memo about the color switch. His tie no longer has a Pokeball pattern, which was really cool, but I do like how it appears to be singed at the end and it makes it look like a little flame, but also brings up some questions of what exactly happened to it. Maybe some experiment gone wrong. The concept art also shows us his alternate look that we've seen him with sometimes, finally giving us the answer. Apparently it's all part of disguises that he uses, and the mustache itself isn't even real as we see in this little comic. The dude is bald all around. But this one drawing here has some intense DILF energy, and I don't know how to feel about that. Giovanni, the big boss of Team Rocket, also doesn't really go through any major changes. He's still a dude in a suit with a menacing look. But this time the Persian is part of the art, I can't take it away. I do like that he's also facing away from the viewer, similar to Red and Blue, again giving the feeling that he's much more experienced than you are. Though it works even better for Giovanni because it's also like he's barely giving you the time of day. We get a better look at him in the concept art, and still nothing too notable, but I like how they mention he has rings on his fingers. That extra little bling that you can afford when you're a mob boss. And now on to the Elite Four, which have a more intimidating presence this time around. I think this is really the vibe they were supposed to give off the whole time, but in some of the art pieces we got during this generation, it really shows it a lot better. So first up, we have Lorelei. While her original outfit was dark, this one doubles down, getting rid of most of the blue. But I think adding the tights and sleeves to be more formal works a lot better to give her a colder appearance. But she's still somewhat approachable with her bright red hair breaking things up. And there's even a little ice design on her hair tie. Her pose is more commanding also, perfect for stomping some Team Rocket grunts halfway through the game. Though I do wonder what happened to her bracelet. That looked like something important, but I guess it wasn't if it's just gone now. Bruno? Well, we don't talk about Bruno. Nah, but he's looking fine as ever, just on the ground, getting up from a sitting pose, and also probably to fit him in because he's supposed to be like a giant. There are more intricate designs on his cuffs, though I guess those are probably training weights. Also, his belt is given a new design to look like the cuffs he's wearing, and in the concept art you can really see that his pants are practically torn to shreds, literally being held together by that belt. Probably all that hardcore training up in the mountains. I do appreciate that there are little changes made that still add those details. And now we've come to the entire reason I decided to write this video. It was Agatha all along. I really like Agatha, even though we don't see too much of her throughout the franchise. But looking back on her fire red and leaf green outfit, it really needed that update with how simple, I guess, things felt. Overall, it feels kind of flat and doesn't go deeper beyond her being an old woman. I do like the Pokeball cane, that was the one casualty here, because otherwise it's kind of insane with how hard they locked in with her redesign. I know everybody in this game has the chibi proportions, but it really fits Agatha so well, and I kind of wish that she was presented as always being short. Her dress is given this deeper purple shade to match her ghost Pokemon, or well, I guess poison Pokemon technically. I'm a big fan of all the layers her outfit has, which does an even better job at making her feel old-fashioned compared to other characters in the modern day. Her apron has little skull patterns at the bottom, and her shawl has tiny people on them. Like, why? That's amazing. Also, the fact that it's green is another cool way to give her a little more pop and add to the ghostly vibes. Like I said, she doesn't have her Pokeball cane anymore, but now it's a Gengar and it even glows, so that's pretty epic. She's also wearing boots here instead of what she had before. They almost clash with her outfit, but they help her come across as more active. I mean, she was a top trainer back in the day and still is, taking a spot in the Elite Four, and it sort of reminds me a little bit of her past with Professor Oak. When you really think about it, Agatha is just a goth tomboy who grew up and didn't change. It really reminds me of her appearance in the Pokemon Adventures manga, which really seals the deal. I'm just amazed with how good she looks here, and I really wish that this would have also replaced her default appearance like we saw with Misty. In Pokemon Masters, we just get the old design that in my opinion didn't really translate over all that well. But now we've made it to the end of the Elite Four with Lance. He sort of goes back to his original design where instead of wearing this jumpsuit overall, he's wearing pants, a shirt, and a jacket. He's just a cool guy with a cape on top. The cape is darker on the outside like the later designs, but the inside is white, which we're only seeing here now for the first time. I also like the gold that makes him look more regal and helps him stand out as a Dragon Master, and it calls back to the original outfit as well. And the poses he strikes are also perfect. There's some design on his shirt, it looks like a dragon type symbol, but just a bit different. I sort of come around to this outfit a lot more, because he already wore the same thing between Fire Red and Leaf Green and Heart Gold and Soul Silver, so why not have something different for a Kanto game? Well, those were the designs of Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Truth be told, a lot of them were kind of the same as their previous outings, and a bunch took more inspiration from their yellow version styles, but the ones that are good are like really good. At first I didn't really want to give these designs all that much attention because I was really turned off by the different proportions, but I discovered that I was actually just being stupid because these are literally the same proportions they use in Pokemon Adventures, so it turns around and becomes peak. Like I said, I do appreciate how some of these outfits ended up becoming the new defaults or bringing back the old default, and I wouldn't mind if that became the case with more of them. Agatha mostly. Oh, also I didn't write this part in the script, but I want to mention, I know that someone's probably going to bring up Leaf or Green. She had her own video, so go ahead and watch that one. So let me know what you think in the comments below, and tell me which one of these is your favorite. Anyway, I should get back to contemplating whether or not I should give these games another playthrough. Thank you to every channel member for your continued support, including the Great Gators, Alex Switch Shiny Hunter, Locadox, Voss Boss, The Keeper, Riley the Fake Dragon Lady, Queued Up, Adam M, Flockster J, Mobile Empire, Slimy Chris, Angel X, Panthress Dark, Michael Snyder, Koi13, Cemetery Hill, Pastel Blood, Cosmo Zero, Rainfrux, Cheez-It62, GatorKid 509, TF, Mathiclon 947, Taijirai, Justin R, Phantom, and Quago. If you would like to support, see your name here, get access to emotes for comments, live streams, and sometimes early videos, you can become a channel member today. You can also follow me on Twitter as well for more memes. Anyway, this is GatorX, and I'll catch you all later.